Alright, so to start our class today, what we're basically going to do is go through how you can actually set up the Placester site on here on your own, and really how you can utilize everything even further. Alright, so with that being said on here, the first thing that we'll actually want to do is access our Placester site. Now to access the Placester site on here, what you'll want to do is hover over Technology in the black bar, and we're going to go to KEW Websites, that third option down. Alright, so KEW Websites, the third option down. Alright, so we're going to hover over Technology and go to KEW Websites, that third option down on here. Alright, so let's go and click on that real quick. Perfect. Alright, and then this is what your page should look like. It should say your KDB agent website. It'll say your KDB website is mobile responsive, includes full IDX for your market, provides multiple lead capture opportunities, enables systematized follow-up, and is integrated with the KDB platform. Alright, so all we'll have to do is click on this little button down here that says your new website is ready, go to my website. Now, if your site is not showing this back here, alright, that basically means that your site is not available quite yet. Alright, so in this particular case, what you'll actually want to do is make sure that your office has your MLS ID. Alright, so you will need to be a part of the board. You'll need to be a part of the MLS board, alright, in order to actually have the Placester websites. That is one of the few things that you'll need to have access to on here. Alright, so I just want to give you a heads up on that one. Alright, so I'm going to click on this little go to my website link on here. Awesome, looks like it's slowly pulling up for me. Perfect. Alright, now another thing to note on here as well about Placester, sometimes if you come on here, it might actually give you a little option on here that says, hey, you need to sign in to Placester. Alright, well if that actually pops up, that is incorrect. I just want to let you know about that. Alright, so if that pops up on here, I just want to say that is incorrect, so you don't want to utilize that. Alright, so if it does show that, it should automatically sign you in. Alright, in case it doesn't automatically sign you in or anything of that sort, alright, then just go ahead and try deleting your internet history. Alright, and then if that doesn't work on there, I'm going to add this over to our chat section. It's very lengthy. Alright, so it's going to be a very lengthy chat option that I'm going to add in here, and hopefully it'll actually fill everything on here too. Alright, but this will actually help to get you added in immediately, alright, because it should automatically let you come inside. Alright, so here we go. Oh, it might not bring all of it over. We're going to find out. Alright, it brought over a good amount. There you go. Alright, so it did bring everything over. Alright, so that is what Placester is actually given to us for KDB agents if they're having issues signing in, and this should help to get you in right away. Alright, so with that being said on here, alright, this is what your back end of your Placester site is going to look like at the end of the day. Alright, so I just want to give you a heads up on that. This is what this is going to look like. Alright, so all that we'll have to do in order to actually set this up is scroll down just a little bit further, and we're going to click on the Edit Site option down here. Now, if your site also says that it needs to launch, you can feel free to go ahead and launch it, but let's go ahead and click on that Edit Site option. And if the Launch Site option is grayed out where you can't actually click on it, alright, no worries, we're actually going to show you how to get that set up so you can launch it properly. Alright, so I'm going to click on Edit Site on here, and this will allow us to go through where we can actually edit our entire website. Alright, now everything after we click on the Edit Site section is going to take us over to this back-end site settings. Now this is what we're going to focus on today. Alright, obviously if you want to add inside additional pages, additional blogs, testimonials, or areas, you're definitely more than welcome to. Alright, but what we're going to focus on today with our 101 class is just making sure this is up and running properly and everything is displaying so you'll have a fully functional website that you can use right away. Alright, so right onto the site settings section, we're going to go through pretty much everything on here. So let's start, there we go, let's start with the IDX integration option. Alright, this is how you can actually set up your IDX on your website. Alright, so we definitely want to make sure that this is up and running on here for you. Alright, so once I actually click on the IDX integration option, in most cases it'll actually give you the option to view your different IDX options that are available for you. Alright, whatever integration might be available for you right away. Alright, so if your board is kind enough to just automatically allow for a blanket agreement where it'll just automatically populate on here, then you are all good to go. Alright, in this case though, if it does show that, then you can go and click on the option on the right hand side for your board to link that up immediately. Alright, if it's not available, then you'll have the KWLS or Keller Williams listing system as we're seeing on here available for you to use right away. All right, that'll at least link up all the Keller Williams listings for you. All right, and then that way you'll actually be able to go through and just have that available right away to utilize. All right, so I just want to give you a heads up on here. All right, so in this case, I'm going to specify that I'm using the Cooperative Arkansas Realtors MLS on here. All right, and the reason that you'll actually want to go through and specify to use your, obviously in this case, your MLS, right, is because that's going to pull in all the listings from all the different, companies or brokerages that are a part of your MLS on there. All right, so I just want to give you a heads up in this case. All right. Now, once that's completed, we can just click that save option and we'll be good to go. Now, one thing to note though, right, if yours is not on here, you will typically need to go through and create a new request. But before you actually do that, reach out to your office directly, right? So reach out to your office and ask them, hey, for the Placester site, is there any type of IDX form that you might have on file for us to help out? All right, so I just want to give you a heads up on that, because at the end of the day, this might help out tremendously just to make sure that, hey, they might already have everything ready to go, or they may have already sent it off for you and you don't have to do anything. All right, so at the end of the day, that is probably the ideal method. So great question. So, and that just came through. So should we activate the KWLS if our MLS is available? So there's two trains of thought on that. So the main one, a lot of people will say, I want to activate the KWLS because then that's also going to get additional listings from Keller Williams agents outside of my board and across the United States for people to search for. All right, the one thing that I will tell you though, and I typically suggest against leaving the KWLS activated, is because at the end of the day, when you leave that activated, it starts to cause a little bit of an issue, specifically when you're trying to feature your properties that you really want to display, and we'll do that next. All right, so I usually suggest only having your board listed on here for the IDX. All right, just listing your board on here. All right, so I just want to give you a heads up on that one. Yeah, no problem. All right, so if I click on the save option, that'll save immediately for me. And if you look at the top right, your MLS IDX settings have been saved, so we're now all good to go. All right, so in that case, we're perfect. Now on here, though, if you did have the KWLS set up, or if you did want to actually leave the KWLS set up with your board as well, all right, then you'll probably want to utilize the global filters on here. This is going to specify what you're actually going to display. All right, so I just want to give you a heads up. This is what's actually going to display on your site and what people can actually search for at the end of the day. All right, now I usually suggest, though, if you are just using your board, all right, so you're just using your MLS board that we saw on the IDX integration, I'm going to click on global filters now. All right, oh, come on. There we go. I'm just going to click the back button. All right, so if you do click on global filters and you have everything set up, we're all good to go on here. All right, I just want to give you a heads up. If you have the KWLS set up, or if you have the KWLS set up with your board, you'll probably want to utilize this to filter out all the other listings and make sure it's just inside your state. All right, or if you're just using the KWLS on its own right now and your IDX isn't available, then you'll definitely want to filter this out where it's only your state or your areas that you're working within and not some random ones around the country or anything. All right, or if you just want to show all of them, you definitely can. All right, that's always an option too. All right, so with that being said on here, I usually suggest kind of a passive method on this, of basically just leaving the global filters as is, because you want, obviously, the people coming over to your website to see as many listings as possible. All right, so if I'm just displaying my board, so I'm using the cooperative one as an example, I really don't want to go through and kind of filter out any type of listings from people to actually take a look at. All right, so even if they come on here and they find a listing that's out of the price range I typically work within or out of the areas I typically work within, all right, that's basically just giving up a free lead is what I always tell people. So even if someone says, hey, I'm looking at this, $300,000 home and it's an hour away from where you actually typically work or live, I can imagine there's going to be another K2B agent or another agent out there that would love to pick up that client, and then you can actually get a referral fee off of it. All right, so that's one of the main reasons I really suggest against changing out the global filters. Now, if you notice on here, it'll say all listings are automatically displaying, or you can also click on filtered listings on here too, and you can filter out which ones will actually display for you as well. All right, so with that being said on here, we can actually change out the min bath, the min bed, minimum price, max price on here, the zip codes, and there's even an option down here where we can click on add search criteria to search through the additional criteria that's available for us to filter everything out. Now, once again, any changes you make on here are going to affect all the properties that'll actually display on your site. Not just the featured ones, but every property when someone's trying to search for something. All right, so that's the main reason I suggest against changing anything on here, because you really want to display all properties that are available, in this case on the MLS or just in general. All right. Perfect. All right, so if you do change anything out, though, like say, for instance, you want to put inside, a minimum of 2 baths, minimum of 3 beds. All right, then if I search on here, if you notice now only 6,323 different listings are available instead of that 16,000. So I just right there limited myself about 10,000 listings. All right, actually 10,000 plus listings, about 10,500 or so. All right, so I'm just going to leave that as is, but I'm going to click that Save button at the bottom right down here. All right, so always click that Save option down here. Here we go. All right, and then once again, your listing filter settings have been saved. All right, now for the featured listings, though, I suggest the exact opposite on here. All right, the exact opposite. All right, and the reason for that, all right, is that you're actually going to feature these on your home page on here. All right, so once I click on featured listings, all right, and not only are you going to feature them on your home page, you can also set up a featured listings page that will show all the different listings as well. All right, so on here, if you notice, all right, right up here, it's going to say featured listings are given special attention on your site, both on the home page and on a specific featured listing page that you can create. So it's not automatically created, but it's very simple to create it later on. All right, now one thing to note on here, and I'm glad they put this on here now. All right, each theme has a different number of blog posts and featured listings set to display on your home page. All right, so if you're going to use the main theme that we're going to talk about today, which is the Madison theme, you're going to have 4 featured listings that'll pop up on your home page and 4 blog posts. All right, now other themes might have additional featured listings. I've seen as many as I think like 9 or so. That'll actually display 9 or 12 on the home page. All right, but in this case, the main KW theme is the Madison one, and that's going to have 4 that'll actually display on there. All right, so if you want to go through and you actually want to change it out, there are 2 options. You'll have the filtered listings or the specific listings. Now, in my personal opinion, I would only do the filtered listings. And the reason for that is because at the end of the day, you want to set this up and you want it to automatically populate for you. You want the system to work on your behalf. All right, the specific listings in this case is basically you saying, hey, we set this up. Now I need to actually choose which listings I want to display on here. All right, so I just want to give you a heads up on that one. All right, so if you want to go through and choose the listings, you're definitely more than welcome to. All right, but over here on the filtered one, we can actually specify, all right, I only want to show listings in this area, in this price range, with this many beds, baths, square footage, whatever it might be. All right, and then that way it'll automatically update each time on here too. All right, so I just want to give you a heads up on there. All right. So with that being said, you can go through, you can change whatever you want to, and if you want to feature your listings only, so say for instance you linked up your IDX on there like I did for Cooperative, if I have multiple active listings of my own that I want to feature, all right, I can actually click on the Add Search Criteria option, and then in this case I would want to scroll down to the Agent Office Info section. All right, and this is the second section that'll pop up, and if you notice we have Agent Email, Agent ID, Agent Name, Office ID, and Office Name. So the 2 big ones on here are Agent ID and Agent Name. All right, and typically Agent ID is the one that we always use because it's based on that MLS ID number that your MLS will give to you directly, whether it's your MLS ID, your license number, your NRDS number, whatever they might give to you. All right, and once you click on this, then you'll notice it has it linked up right here, and all we have to do is click that Add button, so then we can actually type inside our own agent MLS ID to feature our listings immediately. All right, or if you want to feature your listings and another agent's, you can put inside your MLS ID a comma and then their MLS ID. Or I usually put a comma and a space just to add inside some extra. You don't need to, but I always like it. It looks a little bit cleaner for me. All right, so once I click Add, then here's that little open box section, little filter, or not filter, sorry, little section that we can actually add this inside. I guess it is technically a filter. All right, and then I can type inside whatever I want to for my agent ID to actually feature my listings. All right, and since I don't have any active listings, that's okay. All right, maybe I just want to specify I want, at least 2 baths, at least 3 beds. I want a minimum price of $200,000. and I don't want to go above 750,000. All right, I want to make it, well, 750,000 is a massive home, but I want to make it reasonable. I'll put those in air quotes. All right, but then I can put inside different zip codes. I can put inside different cities as well. So if I click on Add Search Criteria again, there's a city option on here. All right, so I can add the city, and then I can start to type inside the cities I want to display. I didn't know there was a little flock. That's interesting. All right, and all I have to do is just type it out and click on it, and we're good to go. All right. So once you have that set up, I always like to click on the search option just to get an idea as to what this is going to look like. And one thing that's really cool, if you are using that Madison theme as well. All right, so if we're using that Madison theme over here, all right, then we can click on the default sort option, and you can actually change how this is going to be sorted out on here. All right, so I just want to give you a heads up on there. You can actually change this out right away. All right, so I'm going to sort this instead from the newest days on site. So that way we're constantly getting new updates on here. All right, so I'm going to scroll to the bottom, and once again, we're going to click that green Save button, and then I'll save immediately on here. Awesome. There we go. All right, your featured listing settings have been saved. Now, one thing to note on here, you can update this at any time. So anything we're doing today, you can change anytime you want to. All right, so I just want to give you a heads up on there. All right, nothing is set in stone by any means. All right. So, down here, the next thing we're going to see is open house info. That is grayed out. So, unfortunately, the only way to add inside open house info is actually if you're paying for a single property site, which I believe is $5 per month to actually just have a single property site set up on here. All right, so if you ever want to set one of those up, you're definitely more than welcome to. All right, it may have increased since the last time I saw someone purchase it. It was $5. I believe that's what it is per month. All right, but we'll see. Maybe it's gone up. I'm not sure. All right, but that's the only way you can add inside your open house info on here. All right, so the next section, though, is where we're going to have our site design. All right, so we're going to have our theme selection that we can actually take a look at, and this is how we can choose what themes we actually want to display on here. All right, so let's go ahead and click on that option real quick. All right. So once we click on this, then we're going to see a bunch of different themes that are currently available. In fact, 9 different ones that'll actually pop up on here. Now, once again, the main one to really utilize is going to be the Madison theme, as that is the KW theme that you'll probably want to use at the end of the day. All right. Now, obviously, you can move between the themes by clicking the left or right arrow to choose whichever one you prefer. All right. They have a bunch of different options that are available for you. I'm going to stick with the Madison one that pops up for me on here, just because that's the main KW theme. And then this is the only theme, just to give you a heads up, the Madison themes are the only themes that'll actually allow you to sort your featured listings. All right, that is a Madison option only. I believe it might actually be on one of the other Placester themes too, but I know off the top of my head, only Madison I've ever actually seen it work on. All right, otherwise it always goes for the featured listings from the highest price down, which is still not a bad thing, but in this case, if you want to do what I did, where I'm actually showing the newest listing, so it's constantly updating, you'll have to choose like that Madison theme on here. All right, now scrolling below that, then we can actually choose our color if we want to. Now, not only will this color update all the different text on here that has different colors. All right, so if I click on this, for instance, like the blue, then you can see how this changed out with some of the blue info, or if I click on this like navy, it's kind of green, like a navy greenish color. All right, then that'll update on here too. All right, I always like to leave it as red just because that's kind of the KW red to utilize. All right, and one thing to note, whenever you're choosing these on here too, because I know this is a question that comes up a lot, you'll notice the background image changes. Don't worry about that. All right, they're just giving you an example as to what that's going to look like. We'll show you in a second where you can actually change the slideshow. In fact, that's what we're going to do next. All right, so I'm going to leave it as red on here, and then you can even choose your page header, whether you want it to be, the red on here, whether you want it to be white. All right, completely up to you. Personal preference, I like the red just because it stands out a little bit more and it kind of segments the page instead of it just all being white from the top down. I have seen some phenomenal sites, though, are just all white, so I just want to give you a heads up on that, too. All right. Perfect. So feel free to go through and change anything you want to on here. I'm going to leave it as red, and then you can even put inside a statement that will display over the slideshow. Now, this is up to 60 characters, as you can see on here, and this is where it's going to display. Now, one thing to note on this, all right, one thing to note, right there it says the best place to find your home. All right, so with that being said on here, right where it says the best place to find your home, it's in white, and it doesn't really have too much of a background on it. It's just all white. So depending on what your background slideshow is, right, that could change a little bit, and it might be a little bit harder to read on there. All right, so I just want to give you a heads up in this case. All right, so it might be a little bit harder to read. All right, so sometimes I usually prefer just going through and, leaving this blank so I don't have to worry about anything up there, just because depending on what image I have in the background, I might want to display that, and it might be a little bit hard to actually see that on there. So I'm just going to click that save option real quick. All right, so now we've had a chance to do that. If you notice, when I clicked on save, it came back to this page. That happens all the time. If you click out of this on the left-hand side or click dismiss over here at the top right, that'll actually get rid of this page so we can hop back to where we were. One thing that'll happen, though, it's going to take us back to the home page. So we will just need to click on that edit site option one more time. All right, so the edit site one more time. Alright, so I'm going to click on Edit Site real quick on here. Awesome. Right, and once we do that, now we've done our theme selection, now we can click on the slideshow option on here. So that's what I was saying earlier, take this with a grain of salt, obviously, whenever you actually see those images on there. Alright, this is going to completely change. Alright, completely change in this case. Alright, so once I click on the slideshow option on here, we're going to have a bunch of different slideshow, items that'll actually pop up in this case. Alright, so with that being said on here, all we'll need to do is choose whichever slideshow we actually want to utilize. Alright, whichever one we actually prefer in this case. Alright, and if we scroll down, you'll actually be able to see we have like a Highland slideshow. We have interiors on here. There's one for variety. Should be one for luxury properties, mid-priced homes. And then I believe they finally have one down here for nature, too. There we go. Now, all these on here are completely customizable. And if you notice, I'm going to scroll really quick up here, so I apologize if there's some lag time for you. If you notice at the very top up here, there's even a plus sign where you can make your own. Alright, so I just want to give you a heads up on that. You are more than welcome to actually add inside your own images. Now, obviously, make sure they're images that you own or that are royalty-free. Alright, you don't want to get a nice little email one day saying, hey, you're using one of my images on here, here's the invoice. Alright, so you don't want to get that. So make sure you're using royalty-free images or you're using your own that you've taken too. Alright, and if you do need help finding the actual dimensions, there is a, please visit this help article on here for the actual resizing tips and dimensions you'll need for it. Alright, so in this case, if I choose like the Highland one, for instance, once I actually click on the select option on here, it says select it. Alright, then we'll notice we can actually change the name of the slideshow. We can go through, we can delete any of these, we can upload our own if we want. Alright, so it's completely up to you. I've actually seen some agents go through and say, hey, I don't want to have a scrolling slideshow, I just want to have one image on here. and they'll actually go through and they'll literally delete all 4 of the other images and just leave 1 at this time. All right, you can even add inside a caption that'll display at the bottom left of the slideshow, and then even a link on here, so if they click on the image of the slideshow, it'll take them over to wherever you might be taking them to. All right, so I just want to give you a heads up on that one. All right, but in this case, I'm just going to leave this as is, so we have our slideshow ready to go. Leave everything as it is on there. Love that backyard. That looks great. All right, but I'm going to click on this save option so I can save this immediately. Now, once again, you are more than welcome to change any of this at any time. I just want to give you a heads up. All right. So the next thing we're going to see on here now are certifications. Now you can have up to 6 different certifications on here. All right, 6 different certifications. So I'm going to click on this real quick, and it's very simple to add inside the certifications. All you have to do is click on them. All right, so if I have ABR, I'll click on that, and it'll highlight blue around it. All right, if I click on it on accident, just click on it again, it'll take it away. All right. Now, on here, though, there's only certain certifications that are currently available. All right, so if you aren't seeing your certification on here, unfortunately, Placester doesn't offer it quite yet. All right, but the big ones, even if you don't happen to have any certifications, all right, that I'd highly suggest adding in would definitely be equal housing opportunity. All right, and then in most cases, I would highly suggest adding inside National Association of Realtors, all right, or the NAR logo on here. All right, so those are the 2 big ones I'd highly suggest adding in at the end of the day. All right, and of course, they are in alphabetical order to make it a little bit easier for you, obviously going left to right, top down. All right, but once this is completed, if we scroll down to the very bottom down here, we can click that Save option to update too. Now, if you receive a new certification later on, or a new designation as they're typically called, all right, you're more than welcome to come back on here and change this. All right, I know I've said it countless times, and I know you're probably annoyed of me saying it so far, but I always like to embed this in everyone's brain whenever I kind of teach these classes, but this can be changed at any time. Nothing is set in stone. All right, so even if you're like, man, I really wish I hadn't done that, it's okay. All right, you can change that later on. All right. Now, the next thing we're going to see on here is going to be for our social networks. All right, or basically our social media profiles. All right, so on here we're going to have a bunch of different social media options that you can actually add in case you want to link up your profiles, your pages, all right, your channels, whatever it might be. Now, you will need to know your actual social media URLs, though, to add this in. All right, so this would require going over to the pages typically, looking at the address bar once you're on the page, you know, your address bar at the top up here where you type in google.com. All right, and then on here you'll be able to find what you need to add in. All right, but it's going to be a little bit different than just copying and pasting. All right, because on here, for instance, I already have some set up as examples. All right, so in this case, you can add inside Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest, YouTube, Instagram, Flickr, and Yelp. They got rid of Google+, so that's good. All right, so on here, all you have to do is put inside what comes after those slashes. So it automatically has that first part. All right, so it automatically has Facebook.com. All right, so now we just need what comes in after the slash on here. All right, so in this case, mine is facebook.com/Scott Leroy Marketing, so I only left in Scott Leroy Marketing as is. All right, and then we're good to go. All right, so I just want to give you a heads up on that one. All right, or same with twitter.com, linkedin.com, all those different items on here. All right, so don't put inside the entire URL. If you put in the whole URL, it's not going to pull over properly. You just want to put in what comes after the .com. All right, and that's it. All right, now if you leave any of these blank, so if you notice on here I left Pinterest, Instagram, Flickr, and Yelp blank, all right, it's not going to display anything out there, so it won't actually display an icon for us. I just want to give you a heads up on that one. All right, so it'll only show an icon here for Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube in my case. All right, now on most profiles, it'll typically display this, and you can see it over on the right-hand side over here. All right, it'll usually show at the top and at the bottom. All right, typically at the top left and the bottom right. All right, where does it say on here? Oh, it's up here at the top. Well, does it not? I used to show it on here. I guess not anymore. That's okay. All right, but we'll show you in a second what that actually looks like. So I'm going to click that save option just to make sure everything is saved on there. Now that might take a little bit of time finding all those different URLs because more than likely you probably haven't memorized them like I have, just doing it over and over again. All right, but I just want to give you a heads up. You will need to find them directly by going to those pages and looking at the address bar at the top. All right, now below social networks, then we're going to have our search form. I'm going to go and skip over that real quick because if you're using the Madison theme, it's only going to give you one option of the Omnibox. All right, the Omnibox is with the auto-suggest, which is similar to going to Google, for instance. So if you go on google.com and you're searching for something, if you ever notice whenever you start typing in, it kind of gives you auto-suggestions below it. All right, this is going to be the same thing on your website. So if someone goes on your website and starts to type inside certain things, it's then going to give them auto-suggestions on here too. All right, now with that being said on here, if you're utilizing a different theme outside of Madison, there are going to be other drop-down options instead of the auto-suggestion on the Omnibox. All right, so you can go through and you can choose like, hey, I want to have drop-down of price, or I want to have a drop-down of city, or I want to have a drop-down of beds and baths, or anything like that. All right, I usually suggest the Omnibox, though, and if you're using Madison, that's the only option, just because, you know, obviously in 2019, people are typically used to just typing in what they want, and then the search engine automatically bringing it to them, instead of them having to click a drop-down and search for it. All right, so let's go and click on that menu option next, and this is how we can actually reorganize our menu on here. All right, so we can reorganize our menu immediately. Now, the menu is what's going to display at the very top of your website. So if you ever go to any type of websites, usually at the top, it might be on the far left-hand side. All right, but this is going to be the menu that'll actually show, you know, how you can move between pages, basically. All right, 99 times out of 100, it's usually at the top. All right, and that's how it's going to look on yours, too. All right, so this is what my menu currently looks like on here. And I've added inside a couple extras, so let me get rid of this real quick, so that way we only have, you know, a few as to what you guys might be seeing right now. All right, I don't need that. There we go. All right, so this is more than likely what you guys currently have. And if you're missing any of these items, that's okay. All right, you can always click the little drop-down option over here, and then any pages that you currently have available, you can actually go through and re-add in right away. All right, so I just want to give you a heads up. All right, you can re-add that in right away. All right, and all we'd have to do if we do want to add them in, like I have a page on here for local Orlando resources, I could click on this and then click the add button to add that in immediately. All right, but I'll go and remove that. Now, this is what your menu is going to look like. So looking at the top, that's what it's going to look like at the top left, going to the top right. All right, so in this case, at the top left, it would show home, then listing search, then about, then blog, then contact. All right, just kind of going top left, top right. Now, you can move these around as well. All right, if you notice, whenever I put my cursor on this, it kind of gives me the 4 cardinal direction arrows. All I have to do is hold down my left mouse button, and then I can actually move this around wherever I want to. All right, so if you notice, I can actually move it down, and whenever it actually comes up with a little dotted rectangle line on here, all right, then I could, in this case, move listing search to be between about and blog. All right, so now it's moved over. All right, or if I want to move blog up between home and about, I can move it right between those two and drop it up here. All right, so you can change it however you want to at the end of the day. All right, so I just want to give you a heads up on that. Now, another cool thing is you can actually have a drop-down menu. All right, because ideally, your menu is always just going to be one line to make it clean and organized. All right, so in this case, if I want to add inside additional pages, I'll probably want to have a drop-down menu. So whenever I hover over, you know, about, for instance, then I can actually have blog pop up instead of having blog on its own. Now, in order to do that, instead of putting it like between listing search and about like I am right now, I would instead want to put it on top of about. All right, so if you notice, I've got blog, I've moved it on top of about. Now, about is outlined with those little dashed lines. So when I let go of blog, you'll notice there's a slight indentation on here, slight indentation. All right, once I actually let go of that, it's now indented. We're now all good to go. All right, so when I save this, it'll automatically have blog underneath about on here. All right, so I just want to give you a heads up on that one. You can move this around however you want to. And another cool thing, outside of just adding inside additional pages that are in your backend that you can utilize, and some of these I've already gone through and created, you can also click on the custom URL option. All right, so if you want to add inside a little menu option that'll just sync up with a different website or a different URL, you're definitely more than welcome to. All right, so in this case on here, if I click on the custom URL and I click the add button, here we go. All right, then I can type inside whatever I want to. So maybe I want to put inside, my website, for instance. So that's what I'll put as the label. For the URL, I'll include the entire URL I want to link this up to, including that http://. And for the tooltip, that basically is what's going to pop up when someone hovers over this menu option. All right, in this case, you don't need to go through and update this, though. You can leave it as is. All right, so I'm just going to go and leave this as is for the time being. All right, but I'm going to move this up, though, between About and Contact. And now I'm going to click that Save option so we can take a look at what this will look like at the end. All right. So now we've done the menu. The next big thing is to do the site info on here. All right, so for the site info section, this is where you can actually add inside your headshot. You can add inside your logo. You can add inside your name, your team name. You can add inside your email, your phone number, your office address. All right, a bunch of different information on here. All right, so this is a very crucial part of the entire setup process to make sure that your branding is displaying properly. Here we go. All right, so once I click on that site info, then this is where, as you can see, control your site's branding and contact information here. All right, so the first thing we're going to see on here is our site title. So for our site title, this is where we can actually put inside, well, whatever we prefer. All right, so in most cases, if you're on a team, I'd highly suggest putting inside the team name on here. All right, or if you happen to have like your own little team name that you go by, you can add it in. Or outside of that, I would just put inside your first and last name. All right, and then for the tagline, you can also put inside your tagline on here too. All right, or if your board requires certain items, like say for instance, I know in California you have to have that CALBRE number. This is a great place to put it up here too. All right, or if you need to put inside certain designations that you just want to add, on its own at the top left, you can. I'll show you in a second where to add other designations though. All right, but I'm going to put inside for all your real estate needs. Come on. How many misspellings can I have in one sentence? There you go. All right, and once again, you can change this at any time, so nothing is set in stone. Now for the upload logo option, you can either upload your own file if you want to add in your own, right? Or on the right-hand side, you can actually click a select KW logo on here too. All right, so once I click on select KW logo, then I can actually choose from all the current logos that are available for us to utilize. Now, not every logo is going to be available on here. I just want to give you a heads up in that case. But if you are seeing your logo on here, then feel free to use it right away. All right, if you aren't seeing your logo on here, though, that's okay. All right, at the very bottom down here, very, very bottom. All right, there are only kind of random logos that are available on here, too. All right, but at the very bottom, we're actually going to see just some KW logos, some luxury logos, commercial, and even land on here. Now, depending on what type of theme you're using will depend on which logo you want to choose. So in this case, if I'm just using a theme with a white header, so remember you got to think back to whenever you were setting that up. If you're using a white colored header, you'll want to use a colored logo, so that way it'll stand out. If you're using a colored header, you want to use a white logo, so that way it'll stand out on there too. So I recall I was using the red header, so I'm going to use the white logo, and I'll click select on here to save that right away. All right. Now, once again, you can change this anytime you want to, completely up to you. And then you can even specify if you do or do not want to display the name and tagline or even the logo on here. So I'm going to display both of them. Now, the favicon on here is going to stand for your favorite icon. All right, and that's going to pop up whenever you're actually on like a tab or anything of that sort. So if we're looking up here on my computer, for instance, we have Placester at the top up here. And if you guys are following along, you'll have the same thing too. and you'll have their favicon, which is kind of like a sideways triangle. Now on my KW, for instance, the favicon is the KW logo, right? Just the KW and the red background. So since that favicon is very tiny, right? It's very, very tiny. It's not going to be very big by any means. All right, you usually don't want to put inside anything too intense. All right, so if you happen to have your own logo or your own icon, feel free to add that in. Or you can always just leave this blank and it won't add one in for you, and that's perfectly fine too. It's not going to, hurt you by any means. All right, but don't try to add inside anything with a bunch of, text or anything like that, because no one's going to be able to read it at the end of the day. All right, now for the contact details, this is pretty simple. All right, this is where you can put inside your name. All right, this is where you can put inside your title or your designations in this case. All right, so if you want to put inside real estate agent or anything of that sort, you're definitely more than welcome to. All right, for the email on here, you can actually put inside your email address. All right, same thing with the phone number on here. All right, if you want to put inside your cell phone number or your direct line of contact. All right. Now, if you want to display your license number, you're definitely more than welcome to. This will come from the My Profile section. Sometimes it doesn't come over automatically, though, so that's why I suggest putting it over as your title or over as your tagline to be safe. All right, and then you can even upload your photo on here, too. Now, one thing to note, your photo on the Madison theme, all right, and this is only on the Madison theme. On the other themes, it will be just a normal normal rectangular headshot. But your photo on the Madison theme is actually going to go inside a circle. All right, so you'll want to make sure that your photo is as squared as possible. All right, so if I come over here, I think I have a headshot on here. Is it under downloads? Might be under pictures. Nope. Or is it under documents, maybe? I don't know. Where's my headshot? There you go. I feel like I had one on here. Is it over here? No. I must have deleted my headshot from here. That's okay. Yeah, I guess I don't have it on my computer anymore. I haven't taught this class in a while, and I don't have my headshot on here. Still nothing under pictures? Nope, don't know why I came back on here to look at that again. That's all right. All right, so in this case, you can actually click on the Upload File option to select your picture wherever it might be on your desktop, if you can locate it like I can't. So once you add that in, it'll automatically pop up on here for you to use right away. All right, and then, of course, you can add inside your office name on here, too. So you can put inside Keller Williams Realty. Put inside the office website if you want to. You can put inside that office phone number as well. All right, the office email address. I'm just putting inside my information on here for the time being. East Central Boulevard, number 560, Orlando, Florida, 32801. All right, so this will typically be your office information instead, like the office phone number, email address, obviously the office address on here. And then if you want to, you can even add inside the office name, display in the site header, or even the office address too. Now, right over here, for instance, in some, for footer links, in some states it's mandatory to have information on brokerage services and consumer complaints. All right, so using the fields below to link to any documents or compliance information required by your state or MLS. All right, the biggest ones that I've seen on here are definitely in Texas. You'll need to add that inside for the IABS form and the Consumer Protection Notice. All right, so that way you can actually add inside the text and then the URL for it immediately. All right. So scrolling down a little bit further on here, that we can actually see our SEO meta title and meta description. Now, the meta title and the meta description are what are actually going to pop up whenever you actually, search for whatever keyword it is you're trying to rank for. All right, so in this case, what I always try to tell people is, hey, at the end of the day, if you're trying to figure out what to put as your meta title or meta information, let's go to google.com, all right, and let's search for what we want to rank for. So I'm going to search for, something generic like Orlando real estate. All right, and once we type inside what we want to rank for, all right, then we can actually see all the different search results that'll pop up. All right, so this is your meta title. All right, this is going to be the URL that'll actually take them over to once they click on this. And then here's the meta description. All right, so now you guys actually know what this is called whenever you're seeing it on Google. All right, so for, Zillow, for instance, they have Orlando Real Estate - Orlando, Florida Homes for Sale Zillow. And then their meta description is Zillow has 3,599 homes for sale in Orlando, Florida. View listing photos, review sales history, and use our detailed real estate filters to find the perfect place. All right, so that is their description on here. All right, so the reason I suggest taking a look at this is because then you can actually get an idea as to what other people are putting out there. Now, typically for the meta title and meta description, you're usually looking at anywhere from 150 to 160 keywords or less for the description, and about 50 to 60 keywords or less for the meta title. All right, so for the meta title, since this is your home page, I may highly suggest putting inside your team name on here. All right, or if it's just your name, you can put inside your name, dash, and then your market center name as well. I think I'm putting too far of a dash. There we go. All right, and then for the meta description, whatever keyword it is you're trying to rank for, I typically suggest trying to put that inside the meta description on here. All right, so I can put inside Scott Leroy is a real estate agent with Keller Williams Realty in Little Rock, Arkansas. All right, so that's just a cheesy one. I wouldn't suggest putting anything in there. I might say, hey, click here to actually find your perfect property, view all of our different real estate filters to search for the place of your dreams, or whatever it might be. All right, I'm just putting something in for the time being just to get this up and running for you guys. All right, but once I click that save option at the bottom, then this will save immediately. Now, the meta title and the meta description will not automatically populate over on Google whenever you're actually searching for it. All right, it will take a little bit of time for them to update that. All right, but I just want to give you a heads up that is going to pop up on just about any page you create or any blog post as well. All right, so you will want to start thinking about what you want to have on your meta title and meta description. Now, similar to when we were doing the featured listings, if you recall, it pops up again with the site info even though I click save. So we'll either have to click dismiss or click out of this, and it's going to take us back to that home page once again. All right, but now we can see everything starting to come along real quick. All right, so I'm going to click Edit Site one final time, and this is the last thing that I'm going to do today for this. All right, the last thing I'm going to do. All right, so we just did site info. If you want to update your languages on here, you're definitely more than welcome to. All right, I believe they have French is available as well on here in case you want to add that in. All right, and that's only going to change the standard content from Placester. It's not going to change anything that you may have created. All right, it's just going to allow people to actually change the language of different information that Placer's actually updated. All right, but then under the More section on here, we'll also happen to have the lead capture, custom domain, site tracking, site verification, SSL certificate. So we're only going to focus on lead capture in this class today, but if you want to add inside a custom domain name, feel free to let us know and we can actually add this over for you. All right, so if you purchase a domain name from GoDaddy, from domains.com, the KW Domain Store, wherever it might be, feel free to let us know and we can move that over and update this. For site tracking, this is where you can actually set up different tracking options to see how visitors are coming to your website, what they might be looking at, tracking your landing pages on here. All right, the big two on there, as you can see on here, are Google Analytics and Facebook Pixel. So if you create that Facebook Pixel for your ad, feel free to send that over and we can add that in for you. All right, or for Google Analytics, feel free to send over your login and password for MyKW and your Gmail account. We can actually set that up for you too. For site verification, this is where you can actually verify your website with different search engines or different platforms like Placester, Bing, or Google. All right, the biggest one on here is obviously Google to make sure you verify your site. And if you need help with that, we can help out with that too. Now, the SSL certificate. This is what allows your site to have the HTTPS, S for the secure on there. All right, so any site that only has the HTTP, watch out for that. All right, so you'll always see this up here in the HTTPS. That means that your information that you might be submitting on the site is completely safe. All right, so you always want to look for that HTTPS. This is automatically enabled, so please leave that as is. All right, so if I click on the lead capture option, though, we're going to have two options that are available for us for free. All right, we're going to have the passive or the aggressive for our lead capture fields. Passive means that the visitors can actually view anything on your website without a lead capture form popping up. Now, the reason I suggest going with passive is as a consumer myself, if I go onto a website and before I can actually view anything, they automatically ask me to fill out some information to view it, I'm going to leave that page and I'm going to go to a site that will allow me to view it and build that trust and relationship before I actually have to fill out the information. Now, with aggressive, though, if you are purely just trying to get leads and you only want people that are actually qualified or actually looking for stuff right away, all right, then this will basically block them from viewing any property, not any page, but any property, right, before they actually fill out or create an account on your website. All right, so I prefer the passive just because your information, your contact info will be plastered everywhere on your website, and there's even going to be a bunch of different contact forms on your site too to help out. All right, so it's still, even though it's not a a hard stop where, hey, you've got to fill this out in order to see everything, it's still asking them for it too. Now at the very bottom, this is where you can actually put on your lead forwarding option. So whenever you do receive a lead from this website, then you can actually put inside whatever email address you want to receive this over to. All right, so I always suggest putting inside your preferred or primary business email address. And then if you want to add inside an additional one, just put a comma. And you're not required to, but I always like to put inside a space, put a comma, and then usually a space on here to add inside another one. So as you can see, enter multiple addresses separated by commas, so that way you can actually send this out to multiple people. All right, so whenever a new lead comes in, you'll be alerted immediately. Now, typically, you'll want to add inside your preferred business email address and then also your eEdge email, so those new leads will funnel over to eEdge right away. All right, and that eEdge email is typically that @kwrealty.com email. All right, but I'm just going to leave it as mine for the time being and click that save option so I can complete this. Now, once that is completed, all right, feel free to go and click on the View Live Site option. You can actually view what your site currently looks like. All right, so it'll pull up. So here's mine, scottleroymarketing.kw.com. All right, here's what my site currently looks like that we've gone through and updated. All right, so here's my social media info. Here's my logo, my menu bar. Here's that Omnibox auto-suggest search option. All right, here is our display name. Here's our tagline on here. All right, once again, here's our name, our designation or title, the email option, the phone number. Here's that slideshow. If I scroll further down, here are the properties that are available for sale based on the criteria I put in there. All right, here's some template bios, not bios, my bad, template blogs, all right, that you can also go through and update too. All right, and then we even have the option down here to actually get in touch at the end of the day with our information again. And then at the very, very bottom down here, here's our the Equal Housing Opportunity option, National Association of Realtors, so our little certifications or designations. Here's our contact info again, along with the office information, and then once again, our social media info too. All right, so just in that 1 hour, we've created this nice little website that you guys can utilize right away and send out to people to use immediately. All right, and of course, you can once again tweak this at any time. All right, so one final time, in order to actually access the backend of this Placester site, from your MyKW homepage, hover over Technology in the black bar, go to KW Websites, that third option down, and select Go to My Website, the little red button, to access that backend immediately. All right, and that'll give you access to Placester so you can tweak this right away. All right, so there you go. So that is the end of the Placester 101 training class.